Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan, and I just finished episode 2 of Moon Knight. And I gotta say, I'm still enjoying it more than I would have expected initially with the history of Marvel and Disney as a whole over the last few years. So, I really actually am beginning to have hope for the series. Now, it's very similar to how I had hope for WandaVision. I loved the first half of WandaVision up until really that final episode, to be frank. So I still have to tamper my almost trust that's beginning to burgeon with a healthy dose of skepticism. I am fully prepared for this show to go down a woke identity rabbit hole or even just a shitty writing rabbit hole that some of these other shows have gone down when they're not political. Their shit is usually the case in point. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm really enjoying it so far, though. And spoilers ahead. Episode 2 really kept the stagnant nature of episode 1. It stayed about the same level as the first one, and I was initially not very happy that they were sticking with the Stephen Grant persona. I was really hoping episode 2 would start off with Mark's perspective and stick with Mark for really the rest of the season. So when it kept with Stephen for the majority of the episode, I was, not too happy with it. But with how the episode wrapped up, I was, okay with it. And of course, there was that one scene with Layla from one of the clips that I reviewed on this channel that was as cheesy and over the top and a bit political as I expected it to be. There really hasn't been a reason to explain her immense talent. So still, that was took me right out of the episode immediately, as well as a few other minor things. But I actually like the Mr. Knight persona that he put on. That was actually kind of funny. I thought that was funny. And it was starting to wear a little old, so they transitioned to the real Moon Knight at a good time for me. I was really happy with that transition. And the Mark Steven dynamic was developed to a much further degree, which I really appreciated. It was kind of cool to see them interact a lot more in this episode and really come to odds and see that Mark is struggling just as much as Steven is. He's just a little bit more skilled and able to handle it, but he's still fucked up in the head and it causes him issues. So that was really nice to see, but still show him from a position of strength. Like, I didn't want him to just be slightly better than Steven. Mark needs to be significantly better than Steven, still with under the surface issues that he can develop and address. And it was a bit darker than the majority of Disney Plus kept that trend going as well. And we'll see if it continues throughout the rest of the season, staying at that dark level, because I really think that Marvel needs to branch out in the type of content that they provide, and a little darker Moon Knight is exactly what I was thinking. So I'm quite happy with the season so far. Again, very, very prepared for it to go down a rabbit hole and turn out to be shit. I'm very prepared for it to turn out that way in the end, but so far, I thought it was good. Okay, yeah, very much at the same level as episode 1, but I'm impressed that it kept that level. From what I'd heard is it would dip in quality rather severely right after the first episode and be on a downward trend. I didn't see that. I saw it pretty much stick the same, and that's kind of difficult to do in a lot of TV shows. Someone can start strong and then just taper off, and it maintained, and you got to respect that, at least for the time being. And there were a lot of things that I didn't like individually. Layla, again, she is insufferable in all her scenes, not just the one from the clip. I was so glad when she just would leave for a few minutes. She was insufferable and just too good at everything without a reason. Yes, she was a bit much. I was not a fan of her or her character, and it was kind of coincidental that she found him exactly when she did. That was just like out of the blue. She just drives up on a motorcycle and is like, "Oh, you need help," and drives him away. And yeah, that was out of left field. Complete surprise and doesn't really make sense. Just timing issue. And that escape scene that we saw in the clip that I was referencing earlier with Layla is just way too easy. You think getting taken to the headquarters of the evil villain's lair would, make it difficult to escape, but they're just kind of like, "Ooh, look at that!" And they run away. Yeah, that's about as bad as So yeah, that whole sequence was rough. As soon as I got outside the building and we're fighting the jackal, that was good. That was a good sequence. I did enjoy that sequence. But as soon as she showed up inside the lair, logic and common sense was thrown out the window, and it was just really distracting. So the sooner that was over, the better. The beginning was really good. I thought it was a strong start with Steven like going to the museum, and it tried to do a little bit more unreliable narrator when he was seeing that there was nothing on the cameras. It was just him running around like a lunatic. But later on in the episode, they immediately got rid of that unreliable narrator they were setting up, because the jackal is just invisible to anyone who isn't Egyptian related or whatever. So yeah, they kind of got a point initially, and then that point got taken away because they immediately retracted that unreliable narrator that they were setting up. Ethan Hawke is still incredible. He actually got better in this episode. Ethan Hawke is an incredible actor, and his character was great. I really enjoyed his character. Really look forward to seeing him going forward. And that sequence was actually not bad when he's like telling Steven about his little community he's got and his priorities. Like, you could understand his motivations, and it made sense, and he was almost relatable. And of course, obviously wrong when Steven started pointing out like he's killing babies. So yeah, it's a good villain at this point. He's a very understandable villain with understandable motivations, and I really like to see where he progresses in the future. Of course, he's ultimately evil, but he's understandably evil, and those make some of the best villains that there are. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the episode. Not a whole lot happened, despite me enjoying it. It was really just Steven running around trying to figure out what Mark was up to, getting captured, getting released, and then turning it over to Mark to kick the jackal's ass again. So the second episode ended pretty much the same way the first one did, except with the extra shot of him showing up in Egypt. So we'll see how the series moves forward. This is when the plot really looks like it's going to start picking up and going to get rid of the unreliable narrator aspect entirely, and that was one of the parts that I enjoyed the most. So it has a incredible opportunity to go down the shitter. If it's going to go down the shitter, I imagine the next episode will be really telling of it, because they're moving away from all the parts that I did enjoy. So we'll see. I really wish we would have been able to see the space from Mark's perspective from the first episode. It seems like there were some cool things that Mark had done that we really didn't get to see. Maybe we'll get like a short sequence at the beginning of the next episode to show some of those sequences. I really thought episode 2 would be episode 1, but from Mark's perspective, but it doesn't look like they were going down that direction. But as of right now, I'm looking forward to seeing how things progress. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Anon. If you like what I do here and want to see good, compelling stories that Hollywood will no longer give you, check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues. Books 1, Down in Flames, and Book 2, Apocalypse Then, currently on sale. Book 3, Kill the Dark, coming soon.